Yo, what's going on, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of Down Unders. Brody, my brother, how you feeling after the massive weekend? Up the Kangaroos, baby.
Yeah, look, man, another trophy for the trophy cabinet. We'll take it. We'll take it.
I can't wait. We'll let the Kiwi fans filter in and all that. Let's talk our shit and all that. But brother, all the Pacific Championships are done. We'll get through each and every game. But your thoughts overall on international footy this year? Obviously, Tonga taking us to the brink, and we'll talk more about that very shortly. But great to see international football get put on the forefront, and Tonga to get to a level that, you know, a lot of people probably didn't fully expect. You know, I think a lot of people had hype for him, but this level, I don't know.
Yeah, look, it is. It makes the game interesting. And then, you know, the Kiwis really had to take a bit of a reality check and have a look at themselves in that game against PNG, and they proved that, you know, it is still a, you know, 2-horse race. You know, it's just, it didn't go their way against Tonga. They let them get out to a bit of a lead and couldn't rein them back in, which made them have to play PNG on the weekend, obviously. But yeah, just again showing the gap still between, you know, the big three nations or the big four nations. So but yeah, again, Australia coming out on top. Easy money, brother. Easy money.
100%. And how much more excited are you? Because obviously we got the Anzac test next year. Are you excited for the Anzac test against England next year?
Yeah, look, it's going to be great, especially with how much the Super League has grown since the last time we've seen, you know, an Anzac test between England and Australia. So, you know, the talent that they've got at the moment, the form that, you know, Herbie Farnworth and all those guys have got in the exposure over here in the NRL, they take that back to England test footy, and they look the goods, man. And it's going to be a good match. And just remember, Australia didn't have their top tier side out there either. So I just want to see full strength versus full strength. That'd be great to see.
I know, and like I cannot wait to see, hopefully next year, you know, a full strength Australian side going over to England, but also the Pacific Championships now would be Kiwis, Tonga, and Samoa. And seeing those three teams go at it, you know, like obviously Tonga, Samoa, I reckon that's going to be a really interesting little battle. If New Zealand are full strength, obviously they should be the ones to take it out. But like it's going to be really exciting because both those Pacific nations have come so far. And to see a full strength Samoan squad before the grand final, before the World Cup, a full strength Tongan side before the World Cup. See how they go against like a tier 1 nation as in New Zealand. If they're full strength in that, I reckon that Pacific Championship is going to be really interesting this year as well.
Yeah, and there's going to be a lot of passion, you know, in those games. It's always exciting to see the lead up, the build up, you know, the huckers. Yeah. It's an outstanding aspect of the game. It brings so many eyes. The fans on the weekend for Tonga, man, just so proud. You know, it's amazing to see that. It really is. You know, the season's all said and done. These guys could just stop, give up on footy for the year, but nah, they're still showing up. They're still beating their drums, dancing in the crowd. It didn't matter to them, man. They were just having a great time representing their country. It was outstanding to see.
And we're talking about that, bro. Let's might as well get straight into the game. So Australia obviously taking out Tonga. I'm quickly going to fix this up so it looks all right. Yeah, shout out that. There we go. There we go. Look at that.
To clearly see that 20-14 win, you know.
That's what I wanted to see. Get it in the mid-stage there. Now, 20-14, brother. Your thoughts overall on the game in general? Like, I thought that, you know, Tommy Dearden had a lot of really early success with his dummy and go. I think this came mid to late in the half, you know, has started tiring forwards on the edge. Alamonte was getting tested very early on, and I think Tommy didn't use that to his advantage. But Tom Trbojevic found his legs a little bit later as well. But Tonga, you know, shocking us, you know, with the first try of the match and then coming back a little bit late, got us a little bit shaking. What's your thoughts overall in the game? Like, I thought that Tonga, again, as I said before, they've come so far with their football.
Yeah, I think Australia still didn't fully click. We didn't see a 80-minute performance, a dominant performance. Their attack was still iffy. You know, they relied on their defense a lot. And then other than that, it was Solo's performances in, you know, Harry Grant, Tom Trbojevic, Tommy Dearden, those type of guys. So I really feel like the Australian side did struggle. They, you know, they weren't the attacking beast that, you know, you normally see in Australia that puts on cricket scores. They really were a defensively sound outfit this year. You know, I think they bombed 3 or 4 tries, a couple of iffy calls, but, you know, they still let Tonga back into the game. And yeah, they did look like they were coming home with a wet sail, Tonga, and I think we did really well to hold on. It's not easy tackling those big bodies for 80 minutes. So, but yeah, I think still we didn't see an 80-minute performance from Australia at all. This Pacific Championship. And I think that was just the lackluster of the combinations there in the halves and the fullback there. So,
well, we're saying that, bro. Like, what kind of stuck out to you in your head? Where would you put the blame, or would you put the blame on the spine in general? Where were you seeing it that was like looking a little bit clunky for you? Because like a lot of people have brought up Dylan Edwards and the whole, like, you know, Dylan Edwards is very systematic to the Penrith Panthers system, and like, you know, his work rate out of the back end is probably his best facet of his game. But when you go into these representative, like, you know, sort of teams where you got to play within like not as structured football, like it's just throwing a team together for a couple of games, was he the main guy you're looking at, or was it Mitchell Moses probably not hitting the level as what we saw with the New South Wales Blues? Was it Tommy Dearden probably taking too much of the ball on that opposite side and really not finding his combination early on in the series with Angus Crichton and Hammer and that? Like, where were you looking at it going, like, where was it going wrong for you? Even though we're still getting wins, but where was it going wrong?
I think it was a combination of all three. And I've said that since the first game we watched live. You know, Tommy Dearden's relying on his show and go a little bit too much. And he's playing sort of a different role where he's being that sweeper. I've touched on that already. Like, he's not being first receiver, hands on ball like he is at the Cowboys with, you know, Drinkwater being his sweeper. So it was a little bit Tommy, but he found his rhythm really well, and he fit in really well. I also think that it was Moses not having enough games or game time under his belt this year and having to do that duties. And then I do think it was Dylan Edwards, and that's no knock on Dylan Edwards. But if you remember when Dylan Edwards first came into the Panthers, he struggled, man. You wouldn't even rated him as a top 20 fullback at the time. And he worked really hard at his game, don't get me wrong, but I really think it was just more so the fact that he wasn't built into that system yet. And then as soon as he was built into that system, you see how good he plays for the Panthers. He still plays great for Australia. You know, he's always there, eating up the meters, saving tries, all that. But, yeah, when it comes to attack and he has to flex both sides, he can't square up the defender to get his outside man going. And I think him and Mitchell Moses just didn't have that combination. Whereas you see Moses with the Eels, again, he has that good combination with Brown and Gutho. And then you see, you know, Dylan Edwards obviously have a good combination with Cleary. So next year for me, it would be Cleary as the halfback to be Edwards the fullback. And if that's not the case, it needs to be somebody different at fullback.
Yeah, I think, like, you know, Tommy Turbo definitely opened a lot of eyes in this series as well. Like, a lot of the big moments that Tommy had in this overall Pacific Championships came off the back of fullback positioning, right? Like, so, you know, the first game that we went to, the hammer try, him playing out the back of the sweep play, as you said, like Tommy Dearden likes to play with that edge back row on the outside of him. So opening up the space for Tom Trbojevic to create for the hammer. And then even the two tries that he's had for the Kangaroos in this one came off of support plays, or just being in the right place at the right time through the middle. Like, if he was fit and healthy and ready to go and all that in this series, would you have probably picked him? Like, I know it's like more like after the fact, right? Like, we're looking at the sides and that, but like, I think that he could have definitely helped a little bit, right? As you said, like, I think both these halves do play a lot better with a sweeping fullback on either end of them. You know, Mitchell Moses has Clint Gufferson a lot of the time out the back of him as well, so he creates a lot of space for him on the outside. Tom Dearden has Scotty Drinkwater. I think that was a little bit of clunkiness between them. Like, Tom Trbojevic would have been probably the first pick there. If it wasn't Dylan Edwards, like, you know, you think Tommy Trbojevic, Kalen Pongas of the world, do you reckon they could have done a little bit better with the spine?
Yeah, look, I think 100%. Yeah, I do. I really do. You know, you could have had Walsh, Ponga, Trell, you know, even Drinkwater. That would have been more suited to the halves combination. But, you know, we'll probably see Cleary there next year if he stays injury-free. And then Dylan Edwards will get that spot. But, you know, if it's going to be Moses again, I dare say Australia should potentially look at, you know, bringing in Latrell to that fullback role, or Latrell to that left centre role, and Hammer back to fullback. I think the reason why Tommy stayed I'll keep Tommy in the centre is just the freeness he has to still come off that centre role. And Australia do lack a right centre option. You know, they've got plenty of left centre options in the Hammer, Best, Latrell, Birdo. But right centre option, they're a little bit lacking. So, you know, you leave him there and give him that free reign anyway, and put somebody else in like Latrell or Walshy or Ponga at the back. So,
yeah, 100%, bro. And GT jumping into the chat as well. Yeah, the Kangaroos were a bit off, but the Kangaroos team that's not clicking is still a hard team to beat. And that's 100% right, GT. Yeah. GT jumping in. He's a Tongan fan and that. Yeah, it was good to see you in the stream, my brother, and all that. But another thing that I kind of wanted to touch on with this, you know, with the Australian squad in general, how did our forward pack, obviously dealing with Tonga, 2 games of the series there. I thought that the boys like, you know, Isaiah Yeo, I think you were sounding his praises in my chat, definitely was a big standout in all 3 games. And for me, that last one, I think it was really underrated piece to that win against Tonga over the weekend. How would you feel about our forward pack? You know, obviously not the fullest of strength as well, but definitely, you know, close to it. Like obviously missing Liam Martins of the world and that. But how do you think those boys ran out in this whole Pacific Championships, especially in this last game as well?
Yeah, look, I think they held their own. I think you're 100% right. You know, Lindsay Collins would never be a starter when you got the likes of Tino, Payne Haas, stuff like that. So, you know, for him to be a starter, he really carried a lot. And same with Patrick Carrigan, you know, playing, I know lock and front row is the same these days, but, you know, he was really an unsung hero. Isaiah Yeo played some big minutes against some big boys. 100%. And then, you know, you had, you know, Cotter and Barnett that came off the bench and did a really good job as well. You got to remember that Australia played most of this series with 16 or 15. You know, Berto didn't really play many game minutes, and then on the weekend, Lindsay Smith played 5 minutes. So to do that, man, is crazy. You know, it's not easy tackling these bigger boys, these more mobile boys. But, you know, they did a really good job. And I think that's where we probably won most of our games, was the amount of work that these guys did in the middle through the ruck. They never really lost tackles. They didn't really get split through the middle. And they just kept working, and it really freed up our edges to look really good in defense. But that all came off the back of our middles tying in and working really hard. So, and Lindsay Smith did cop it throughout the whole series. So he just bounces back up, bro. He's made a rubber, that guy.
He's a freak, man. He's a freak. And also, yeah, finishing off, bro, with our backline, Xavier Coates, Hamiso, Tommy Trbojevic, and Zach Lomax, like all their performances, I think, have been strong throughout the whole series. Like Zach Lomax is just a whole new man now. So going to para, really curious to see how that goes. Xavier Coates, if he can stay healthy and keep doing what he's doing, he could like be up there. Like I think a lot of people will still have him up there as a, you know, top 5 winger in the game, maybe, or something like that. You'd probably have him up there for sure. But, you know, in the series, before the series, actually, me and Levon did a combined 13, Australia versus the Kiwis, combined 13. And I had Xavier Coates on one of the wings, and a lot of people were like, oh, I'll take Warbrick over Coates any day, all that sort of stuff. But, like, I think seeing the series, I think Warbrick's an absolute freak. But, you know, Xavier does a lot of other things that a lot of people don't really think about as well. And he's more experienced defensively. He's really, really strong. Almost pulling out another freak of a try too over the weekend, bro. He's
that was freakish. You know, half a finger short of my multi, but that's fine. We won't go there.
He should have just picked up Angus's finger that he lost over the years, bro. Added an extra finger onto him.
You just wish you did that against the Warriors, hey, bro?
Bro, and yeah, I know. It's just seeing that every time, just going, come on, man. Like, why'd you have to do it here and not do it for us? But fuck, man, he's an absolute freak. But Hamiso, bro, a guy I wanted to touch on as well. Like, you know, every representative game I've seen Hamiso in, he's been a standout. Like, he's been absolutely incredible. Like, what's his best position to you? Do you reckon fullback or do you reckon center? Like, where are you sitting on that?
I'm gonna say I'm gonna say center now. I really think it could be the center role now. You know, it just frees him up. Again, he could also play both sides of the field if he wanted to. You know, if you gave him that free pass, but if you give him early ball, center. But he's so defensively strong in the center. He's one of the 100%. Most more better guys that can read a play, and you know, he shut down so many plays on the weekend just by making the right decision. You know, when to shoot, when not to shoot. And his speed can cover if he does get caught out. So, yeah, he's a freak, man. He's a freak at both. You know, the kick returns from fullback as well and splits the defense and scores is dangerous. But I would keep him in the centers, man, especially when you've got other guys you can definitely fit into that fullback role. So,
yeah, 100%. And like, you know, looking at the Dolphins, they're without Trey Fuller for majority of the season. But if Trey Fuller was fit and ready to go, I do think that the best like Dolphins lineup would have Hammer at center and Trey Fuller at fullback, and like they did that, well, you know, running into the final series, the last game against the Knights and stuff. So, he's so a strong upper body too, right? Like he reminds me of like he's got that Dan Gagai upper body strength balance, but like got the speed of like Steve Renoff or like, you know, like the speedsters that we've seen. Like he's an absolute freak. Just someone that I feel like the last couple of years has really put his name up in lights to be like one of the better representative players in the game. You know what I mean?
Yeah, you can't teach it, man. You're right. The acceleration, the balance, the stiff arm, you know, the fend. It's just all there, man. The timing is immaculate on when you see him in a little bit of space. he'll normally capitalize on that. It's hard to stop.
Yeah.
So you can't teach that. It's just talent.
All right, moving over to the Tongan side of things, Bella. What were you most impressed with Tonga overall? You know, coming into this game, like I thought the grittiness of Tonga to come back at later in the game. Like, where were your thoughts overall with Tonga? I thought a really strong performance overall in this whole Pacific Championship. But can you nail down like certain performers that you're like, all right, this was really impressed me?
It was the heart, bro. I think, you know, they fed off each other on the big hits. And yeah, I think it was just the heart. You know, normally you would see them collapse a little bit after a soft try or a couple of tries. They'll give in to the fatigue, but they just didn't do that, and they just kept coming in all these games. They just kept going, and you know they had Lola here and Isaiah Katoa. You know, Lola here has never been a standout half, in my opinion. Isaiah Katoa is still learning. You know, and they didn't have a good hooker at all. You know, I don't rate Havili at all. And you know, ads sprayed him on the weekend by not giving early ball. And they still did what they did, you know, to still beat an more understrength Kiwi side is still so impressive. And then to do what they did with Australia in both games is pretty impressive. So yeah, I think it was just not giving into the fatigue. That's the main thing. They play with a lot of heart, a lot of passion, and they just kept going. It was great to see.
How good's Lehigh Hopewadi? Like debut year, comes in to that Manly jersey, steals the Manly jersey, looks impressive. Everyone's like, you know, I was starting to think of like, you know, he looked really, really good, but a lot of people are really starting to sing his praise a little bit. It's just like, just give him time, let him continue to develop. Goes to the international stage, plays fullback for Tonga. First game defensively has a really good game, you know, and then like, you know, just growing for the series. And I thought he had a lot of really nice moments in this game, obviously getting a try assist for the Sione Katoa try, which, you know, came a lot of Isaiah Katoa on the inside and that. But bro, debut year for this kid, you know, Pacific Championship final against the Kangaroos, like big level, and he stepped up. I thought it was really, really impressive.
Yeah, I think he's definitely going to earn himself a paycheck, whether it's at Manly or potentially a team needing a fullback like the Raiders. I would be, you know, you've put your name up in lights. You're 100% right, man. And that's the beauty of international footy. You're playing against the best, and if you can show something, man, you're definitely going to earn yourself a good paycheck.
100%, bro. And I'm just going to double check. I'm pretty sure I spoke to you about this before, but if he's going to get a paycheck, there's two boys there and they're fighting out for jerseys, and that's Tolu Gola and it's Lehigh Hopewadi. And I thought Gola was really great on the weekend. The tackle he made on Tommy, to that try-saving tackle later on in the game, like, he's got so much talent. And if they're going to throw money at one, most likely they'll probably end up losing either a nice young one, and he's probably one that I'm looking at like, you know, he's got a couple of years left on his deal, but, you know, if money, you know, constraints, fuck, man, he's got so much talent. I'd pick him up in a heartbeat, honestly.
Well, yeah, it depends if he wants to play fullback. You know, he's not going to get fullback at Manly for obvious reasons. And you don't move Tommy to the centres at Manly. It's just not what you're going to do there. But, you know, with the back line that Manly's got, if they stay injury-free, they're pretty solid in that regard. So if I was Lehigh, you know, the Eels now need a fullback. Potentially, you know, they've signed a couple of young ones, but, you know, Canberra still, in my opinion, need a fullback. They're lacking. So, yeah, I think for sure he's going to earn himself a bit of praise, a bit of notice. So,
do you reckon Manly will keep him over Gola?
Injury-wise, probably. You know, Cola's been out, you know, it's week in, week out. It's really hit and miss, and they've got enough of that already with Saab and Torojevic, who are both also hit and miss. So
with injuries, yeah,
I would.
Right. And then moving over to, before we talk about the big boys, Isaiah Katoa had that obviously that error, the big kick into you know, to end up causing a penalty on 50-meter line and that. Your thoughts overall on his series in general and how far he's gone? Like, I think everyone's got to remember, like, the kid's only like 21, like, you know, and leading around this Tongan side. And he was a massive contributor in this game for obviously their first try, the double unders, and then, you know, putting it out. Like, he creates so much space. He's got really good ball playing. You know, his kicking game, you know, he had moments obviously under a lot of pressure where he had cracked a little bit, but like also, you know, I thought that was a pretty solid game overall for him. And like, you know, this series has been really, really solid. He was great against the Kiwis as well. Like, your thoughts over there with him?
Yeah, he's grown a lot. He needs to work on his kicking game a little bit. There's only little bits of his game. And you're right, he's young. He's so young. And I would love to see him go to a club that is a bit more established, that has a bit more club legends that are halves coaches, you know, the likes of Crip Cronk or Andrew Johns, stuff like that, that are still very involved with their club, to learn more, you know, to learn the tricks and the trades, because he's got, you know, all the base skills down packed, man. He's very talented. He just needs to really tweak his game, find consistency, and get that stuff right, and he'll be a freak. You know, a couple more preseasons as well, that'll come. But yeah, he showed the goods 90% of the time, I'll say, man. There was a few moments that he really lacked on, but he'll grow. He's only young. The halves only get better, man.
One thing that he was like, I was watching is like he still missed 7 tackles in this game overall, but I felt like he was still up for it most of the time. Like, but overall, like he's still, he impressed me in that sort of sense, because I knew that he was end up going to be a spot. Like just, you know, seeing, you know, the NRL season with the Dolphins, he became a spot, even with having Nikarima on the other side. That was the main thing I was watching, but like I felt like he didn't really give up too much. So I thought, obviously, I'm trying to think off the top of my head, the Tommy Dearden play where he ended up, you know, hitting that really like crazy line, then a dummy and go. A lot of that was Alamonte trying to get onto Hammer early, but also probably that cover from the inside. But still definitely working on that aspect of his game. But I thought throughout every game, I didn't think he was that far off defensively either. You know what I mean? So that's a little bit of growth for me as well for Isaiah, I think.
Well, the halves are always the target man in attack as well. So, you know, yes, they always miss the most tackles, but they got a back row running out them. So it's already a mismatch. They got to have the play on them as well, which is decision, short man, go out the back. You know, they got to do all that as well as then try and show up to attack. It's not easy being a half. You're the man that gets targeted. So to miss only 7 tackles is not the worst in the world, especially when you're defending one of the best back rolls in the game. It's water off duck's back.
James Maloney, bro, used to miss like a ton of tackles. Like Jonathan Thurston used to miss a ton of tackles as well. Like,
exactly.
You know, some of the best halfbacks struggle with it.
You're not there to make every tackle in the halves. You know, it helps. Don't get me wrong, but you know, you're there to do all the attack side of things. If anything, your back row and center probably need to work a little bit harder to protect you.
Yeah, 100%. All right, I'll talk about the forward pack, my brother. So Adam Fanua-Blake, Jason Taumalolo, you know, just dragging that forward pack. Like, you know, not dragging, like they all played incredible, but those two were the big first, like, you know, obviously the captain with ads and that. Your thoughts overall with their performances? A lot of questions from everyone about Jason Taumalolo. You know, why can't he replicate this with the Cowboys? But your thoughts on their series, their Pacific Championship, because ads is probably up there for a golden boot chat that we're chatting about later on, eh?
Oh, well, yeah, look, ads outstanding. You knew you were going to get that from him, especially when they whacked, 100%. You know, the captaincy on him. But yeah, freak. You know, he's always been a freak. He'll always be a freak. That man one-on-one with these footwork at the line is just hard to handle. And look, Taumalolo, he isn't required to do that for Clubland. They don't want him to do that. They're the ones limiting him at Clubland. It's as simple as that. You know, he's got the guys around him like Cotter and Hess and Nanai. He's got all those guys that are doing that for him now.
Plus, it's probably a 20-game season, bro. Like,
exactly.
It's a long season.
It's come out that he's got this, you know, almost career-ending injury, but he's still playing out his contract. He's just saying, I can't perform like I used to. And the Cowboys are happy with that. So they've kept him. They're going to limit him and just use him throughout the season as they have been, which is what, 25, 30 minutes a game. It is what it is. And that's just showing loyalty back to him like he's showing to the club. And, you know, it's probably one of the last times you might see him in a Tonga jersey. So he's probably given it his all. I can guarantee you now he's going to be fucking sore until he's back preseason. So, yeah, I wouldn't stress too much. You know, he was just playing with a lot of passion, a lot of heart. It's different. And that's what guys should be doing. They should be putting the state, their country at, benchmark. That's your benchmark.
Yeah, that's something I did want to touch on, because I did see a lot of content creators and that come out and like start saying about like, oh, so what does this mean for the Cowboys? Is him and Top Hayton, because of obviously the, like, you know, the early days of Top Hayton and him, where he dropped Taumalolo to the bench, limited his minutes, all that sort of stuff. Now it's come out with his knee injuries that he's having. But a lot of people are obviously pointing out, they're like, oh, why doesn't he play like this for the Cowboys and that? But people aren't thinking that, like, it's a 27-round season. It's like, it's one of the biggest, like, most brutal seasons in, like, all of sport. You got a guy that's 120, 130 kilos that runs like a running back, and like that's his best part of his game. If he doesn't have that, like, then what does he have? And they're trying to limit that and trying to get the most out of him for the amount of minutes. So I don't think it's a Todd Payton issue. I think it's more of a club just trying to, you know, as you said, like you play him out for his contract and not have him just blow apart.
Yeah, exactly. And I think that's the problem with signing 10-year deals because, well, what are you going to do? You've signed him for the 10 years. You're stuck with him no matter how he is these days, you know, unless you start getting messy and try and tear up contracts and shit like that. But you got to remember what this guy did for you not 4 years ago, you know, when he was fit and healthy. So fans, man, they
it's
stress.
Crazy, right? As I wanted to touch that because I've heard of him, and every time I listen to it on a podcast, I just shake my head a little bit. I'm just like, and these are like smart people too, and I don't know if they just do it just because obviously it's a story and just talking about it like that. But like you got to think of like number one, like I know there's always been that starting thing with Todd Payton and Jason Tamalolo, but I think that like having Todd Payton at the Warriors, and I wish we kept him for that early period. We got Webster now, and I'm happy with Webster for sure. And not saying I want him like back and all that, but you know, he was a really good coach for us. He's really stern. He tells you what he wants and he goes out and does it. And I think that when he did that with Jason, like, I think that it's honestly just I think they have a little bit of better connection than what people probably think. And when he's talking about that, it's not a rift between the two. It's not him saying, I don't want to play for the Cowboys anymore. That's not why I'm playing like that. It's like the guy's only he's got to get up 3 times in this series here and play probably some of his best games in the 3-game series here, not 20 games a round, right? You're not going to see the best Jason Tamalolo for 20 rounds.
Exactly. And he's coming off probably a month or a month and a half break as well. So he's going to feel fit for, you know, and ready for 3 games. It's as simple as that.
Yeah. It's definitely a little like thing I was like, you know, shake my head at. But the guys that also I want to touch on some of the most, 2 of the most impressive other than Adam Fanua-Blake for me, Eli Katoa and Haumole Olakau'atu. Let's touch on Haumole first, and then we'll touch on Eli because I love touching on Eli and his story. But Haumole, bro, what a fucking monster.
He's a freak, bro. He's a freak. And I think he's really going to push even harder for that Blues jersey. You know, like after a performance like that, it's hard because I don't know who you're going to leave out. But, man, you can't deny that, man, that he's ready for games like Origin and Test footy. It's scary, man. It's scary what that guy can do.
He's a freak, man. People aren't even recognizing he's playing on his less preferred side. He's a guy that never played like proper junior footy and all that. Came in off Manasseh Fainu's, just a good friend of Manasseh, came to a Manly training session. They go, oh, can your mate train with us? And then he ends up getting a contract that way. Yeah. Like his experience is not that big and he's playing on the opposite side that he knows. And he's still performing like that. Like, you know, Mitchell Moses is still having nightmares that they can't like running at
I don't blame him. I don't blame him.
He's a freak, man. He's a freak. But over Eli Katoa too, bro, like the growth of this player is like, I saw it at the Warriors. Like, you can attest to this. I've had that many messages with you. I say this guy's going to be an absolute freak. I wish he would have done it in Warriors colors. I wish we had the development system to do that out of him. But as soon as he went to Manly, I knew he was going to become one of the scariest back rows. Melbourne. Yeah, he absolute freak, bro. Your thoughts on him?
You summed it up, bro. You were so mad when he was at the Warriors because you're like, this dude can do it. He's shown that he can do it, and he just failed to find consistency. And yeah, I do remember it like it was yesterday. You said, "Fuck, this dude at Melbourne is going to be scary." So, hats off to Bellamy, man. He just makes guys into absolute diamonds. You know, he's just the best coach in the game for a reason, and he's done wonders with Eli Katoa, and that man is one of the top 3 probably back rows in the game right now. It's scary what he does now, and it's proven that it's not just Melbourne, it's how he is as a player now, the way he played for Tonga. It's, you know, he didn't have Hughes, he didn't have Munster, he didn't have Grant, he didn't have Pappenhausen. It's all him. It's the player he wants to be now. It's not just a system thing.
Nah. And like the biggest thing with him is like, I always knew that he was going to be damaging, like line running, just being a big body on the edge. He's got good footwork. I always knew that side of him would always be amazing at Melbourne. It was just all the other little stuff. And that's all the little stuff that he's actually put into his game. And I think that's some of the most impressive part of his game now. Like over the weekend, putting kicks up into his side, his work ethic to try and get up in the air. He caused a couple of errors from doing so. Sometimes he comes down with that ball as well. He did with the Warriors at times. Like he ripped the ball out of Adam Pompey's hands in our last game that we played against the Melbourne Storm. Like his defensive efforts are just all there at the moment. Like he's becoming so consistent in all those other aspects of his game, but then he's also can be one of the most damaging, like running edge back roles in the league. Like we see him running off of Jerome Hughes, line break central, try central, like Yeah, it's such a good story because it's someone that I've looked at and gone, I cannot wait till he hits his potential, and he's getting there for sure.
100%, Brian. You watch, he'll back it up again next year. He really will. That combination he's got at the Storm now, his ball playing inside to Pappenhausen now, setting up tries. It's just freakish. It's a cheat code.
100%. Shout out Tonga again. Like before we jump off, 20-14. You know, I think was it mid after halftime. Alamonte does his elbow, and they had to put Wong into that center position. They did that change and put Wong in there, and Wong held up. I thought he was pretty solid as well. So, you know, they brought it back on us with a guy down in that center that doesn't usually play center. He's usually in middle. He's been playing a lot more middle in New South Wales Cup and that than he has actually been playing edge back roller. So that's a big plus for Tonga, and definitely got a big future for the future anyway.
Yeah, you can't train hard, brother. It's simple as that.
100%, brother. Moving on. The Kiwis smashing the Kummels. All the Kiwi fans in the chat, jump into the chat. Let us know your thoughts overall on this game. But I think a lot of people would have thought this was going to probably happen. There was probably that little thought of like, can the Kummels like come out and like shock like Tonga kind of did? But if the Kiwis, you know, tier 1, this sort of scoreline should be happening. Yeah. Who is your most impressive in this game, bro? Like, what were your thoughts overall with the Kiwis' performance?
Bro, short of Shaun Johnson, it's Keanu Kinney, man. That dude is, bro, he's a freak. And I'm so disappointed that he didn't get the credit for potentially being Rookie of the Year because the dude's had a killer season and now he's doing it on the rep stage. He's insane, man. He's a sneaky for my first selection of my Supercoach team for next year straight away. It's unreal. And yeah, just what he did, man, is, and I know it's PNG, but it's not just against PNG. You know, he held his own against Australia. He did really well against Tonga, and you know, the game he had on the weekend was just freakish. He really deserved a try. And other than that, Shaun Johnson, man, what a masterclass.
Bro, freakish. Like Keanu, bro, he reminds me. I was thinking about this over the weekend. Tell me if I'm off on this a little bit, but he's got a bit of Matt Bowen. A little bit of Matty Bowen in him. It's obviously, I'm guessing, small body in that, his run rate and everything like that. I'm trying to think of Benny Barber. He's got a bit of Benny Barber to him as well. I think Benny was a slightly bigger body, but it looks like, because he looks tiny out there in that football field, but he just bounces off tackles and stuff. And like the pass that he put onto Casey McLean to put him on that outside for that last try in that first half, like, I didn't think he had that in his game. I thought that was the one area that he definitely needs to work on. It's probably still his ball playing in that, but like, because that's what Matty Bowen probably had that he probably doesn't have, let's say, we'll put it like that. But like that pass was beautiful and he put it out of nowhere. Like, what's your comparison? Do you have someone that you look at and you go, that's what he kind of looks like? Or is he just Keanu Kinney? Like, he's just this new breed that you kind of like, fuck yeah, I'm excited to see that.
Probably a bit of RTS, to be honest, in his Daily M year. That's probably what I could relate him to the most. Just with his, you know, tackle breaking ability, the meters, the fitness, and yeah, just didn't really show much ball playing, and that's a bit like what Tuivasa did in his main season at fullback. You know, because I can't really tie him in with Barber because Barber was always the support plays, hitting the gaps. All that sort of shit. Whereas, you know, Keanu Kinney's just work ethic, you know, foot to the floor the whole time. More so to Tuivasa reminds me of, man. So, yeah, crazy, bro. Just an outstanding performance.
Yeah,
such a young guy.
Such a young guy, bro. And like, you know, can you believe the Titans having like AJ Brimson at the club? And I love AJ. I think AJ, for me, if he wasn't injured, he was like our Queensland's version of James Tedesco. Like he had that sort of like mold to him. And then you got Jaden Campbell, and he's an absolute gunner as well. Again, injuries always fuck his career. Yeah. And then now, you know, they've been trying to figure out who's going to be the fullback, and they put this kid in there, they'll try Keeney out, see how he goes, and just absolutely freaking murders it. Like the kids, the future on him is going to be unreal, right? It's crazy.
Sneaky one, bro, for Daily M next year if the Titans can get the ball rolling because, he just, you can't help but watch him and praise him when you watch him. It's just, it's simple as that.
It's work rate, bro. It's work rate. Remember, I was saying before the Australian game, I was like, I knew the Australian Kangaroos were probably going to target him and really go at him. And like, But the only thing is he's got so much heart. Like he reminds me, as I said, that game that the Broncos had against Chevy Stewart, where Chevy didn't have a good game, but what made it special was Chevy just kept turning up and kept turning up. Keanu's got that, but got this like game breaking ability to him.
Yeah.
Like he did the same thing at Tonga. Didn't have the best first half. Like it was probably one of his poorest half that I've seen him play. And then the second half, you know, they start to click and bang, he's the main contributor to a lot of the clicking with the Kiwis in that game. So
100%.
Freak. Can't wait. And Casey McLean too, bro, getting a four piece. 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, I thought so. I don't know why I thought 5 for a second, but your thoughts on Casey? He definitely hit the scene running. He's been highly touted with the Penrith system. A lot of people have heard about him. Jesse, his brother, has been also highly touted as well. But Casey's the younger brother that everyone's like, wait for the younger brother. And now everyone's seeing the younger brother. I saw him this season with the Panthers, but man, potential, right? A lot of potential.
Yeah, the potential's there. And, you know, you can put a lot of it down to Shawnee J, you know, with the 6 tries assists, putting them on absolute dime for him. But, you know, you still got to be there. You still got to capitalize on those. You got to finish those. So, yeah, outstanding performance, man, on debut. Again, for such a young guy. Yeah, his future's bright, especially in that Panther system. If he stays there, scary.
Yeah, I wanted to hold it off a little bit, but let's talk about Shawnee, bro. Let's talk about Shawnee. You brought him up a couple of times, but man, last game ever. I kind of wish he was on, like, you know, maybe a bigger game, bigger series and that, going against Australia and stuff like that. And even though I just wanted him to have one of those big moments, but still Kummels, 54 points, but like just wizardry, bro. It just showed like his every facet of his game at the moment. And obviously a lot of Warriors fans probably looking around going like, could we have kept him another year? I've still believe it's probably the best thing for both of us to move on. But like, you know, so good to see a champion player go out like that and just ball playing, bro. His ball playing is so unreal, eh?
Yeah, well, look, you can sit there and go, fuck, we should have kept him another year. But you're playing basically a Q Cup side. You know, he's still going to have that talent over them. But week in, week out, he can't give you that performance anymore. You know, his body's not what it used to be. His acceleration slowed down a lot. He can't handle the contact. And, you know, it's probably a good thing he went out the way he did against a team like PNG, because we got to see all the magic moments from Shawnee J one more time. Whereas if he wasn't a big game against Australia, it probably wouldn't have been as great. So it was outstanding, man. It was just good to sit back and watch. And I feel like even, you know, non-Shaun Johnson supporters could appreciate what he put on the weekend. It was a sight to see. It just looked like he was in slow motion every time he got the ball, because he had all the time in the world to just pick and choose what he wanted to do. It just looked amazing halfback knock. It's all you can really put it down to.
Right, he had like the Kummels defensive line just shooting out on him, and he's just double pump. Put you over. Nafahu White's try, like the way he just held.
Beautiful to watch.
Just freakish, man, freakish. Anyone else you really want to touch on in that game? Like, yeah, those are the two main members, the Keanu Kinney, obviously Casey McLean getting the 4-piece, but yeah, Shaun Johnson is definitely the main one there. On the Kummels side of things, I know obviously they got belted off the park, but overall in the series, you know, Nanek McDonald had a really great series. I thought Roderick Ty, the center for the PNG Kummels, definitely had some defensive issues in that last game against a good team like the Kiwis, but he had a fairly good series in that. Was there anyone that stood out for you that were like, oh, yep, like, you know, the PNG Kummels got a player here? Or?
Yeah, Robert Derby, obviously, you know, big name.
Yeah.
He's probably going to get a good crack at that first center jersey now at the Cowboys if he puts in a good preseason. Other than that, bro, they showed a lot of heart throughout the series. They turned up for a lot of games, so a lot to build on there. But yeah, for the Kiwis, probably still maybe Joseph Tarpany. He killed it to top off a good season. He was probably their best in that engine room.
Right, we didn't even get to touch on the try last week because unfortunately, weren't able to go on last week. But the try from him last week against the Tonga team, but for a front rower, bro, his footwork and that, like, he is a absolute freak.
Yeah, it's unreal what the players can do these days, no matter what position they play. It's just the talent gets better and better every year, and you think, fuck, what's going to come next? And it just continues to get better and better. Where are we going to stop?
I know. I can't even think of what the next iteration of front rower could be, because you got players like him that are just freakish at nearly everything. And yeah, fuck, bro, could be anything. Lastly, we quickly jump on the women's games over here over the weekend, bro. The Jillaroos getting a nice win over the Kiwis Ferns, 24-4. Did you watch much of this game, my bro?
I did catch a bit of this game, and man, just the Kangaroos, bro. What can you say? That's the best women's side I think you're going to see for a long, long time. That the amount of talent in that team, individually and how they play as a team, is just freakish. It's almost unbeatable. They'll win 99 out of 100 games against anyone, and I truly do believe that. Yeah, what can you say? Look at that team, man, from top to bottom. It's incredible. It really is.
Gnarly side. It's a gnarly side. You got like the best fullback in the game, Tamika Upton, an absolute freak. We've gone on about it that many times, but you know, Taryn Aiken, just like absolute gun. Like Isabel Kelly, like the names, bro. Shannon Marto, Millie Elliott. Were you at all disappointed a little bit in the Kiwis Ferns performance? I was slightly disappointed overall. Like Kiwi Ferns, I thought, you know, last year had a really good like crack at it, obviously getting the win over the Jillaroos last year, but this year obviously the Jillaroos coming in with a little bit of a better squad, ready to pump. I thought they missed a lot of direction. I think like obviously Racy McGregor in that side probably hurts him a lot. But even then, like, yeah, I don't know. It's just something missing. I think, you know, me and Levon spoke about it a couple of times, like, you know, coming up, but there's just still something missing just yet. But the Jillaroos is just a freak of nature team, eh?
Yeah, I think there was just no stopping them this year, to be honest. Like, Race McGregor would have made a little difference in the Kiwis' attack, but nothing was stopping what the Jillaroos put on this year in this tournament. It's a team for the ages, bro. If you look at that team, it's one of a kind. A lot of those players are the best in their positions, they're the best in their clubs, and they're the best in the league. And you put them all together, this is what you're going to get.
100%, bro. Moving on. Fetu Samoa getting a nice win over the PNG Orchards. Elsie Albert carrying those PNG Orchards to 12 points there. Only 12 points at the Pacific Championship there. But, you know, Fetu Samoa getting it done. Obviously, a little bit too skillful. Got a lot of striker across the park. They've grown so far now, like Samoa, which is so good to see. Them getting a World Cup spot and also, you know, winning the Pacific Cup. Not the Pacific Bowl, sorry. So nice little series for Fetu Samoa. Any big impresses for you guys, from Fetu Samoa squad?
No, I didn't get to watch this game, but yeah, you had a couple of good shouts. But yeah, before the game, the odds, the line was -6 for Samoa, and I thought that is easy money. That is easy money. Like $1.90 for Samoa to win by more than 6 is fucking robbing. It's robbing the bank. So I had a nice little win on that on the weekend. So yeah, it was unreal. I had to tell you about that one.
100%. Yeah, he jumped on the messenger, told me about that, jump on that. I think I've added it with another multi and it fucked out, but that definitely got up, which is good to see. So, but bro, yeah, players that like, you know, call my, even McEwen, like she's definitely someone that I'm going to be keeping an eye on for the Newcastle Knights system now. An absolute freak of nature. This game didn't have her full potential type of game, but for the whole series, she really impressed me. Soliola was someone that actually, you know, perked my interest in this game. Like she looked like every touch that she had, she was breaking that first line. I think she had 2 line breaks in this game. Like she just was so damaging in the middle there. I haven't seen a lot of Soliola, so I'll keep an eye out of her. But also like Nuasala, bro, like just the captain in the middle, like, you know, she's an absolute freak. And the fullback that they had over the weekend, an absolute freak. Just that definitely is someone that I'm going to keep an eye on. Faifua. She's with the Cowboy system, bro. Footwork, speed. She's an absolute gun. Go check out, if you haven't gone checked out the highlights and that. She had a mean try in this one, broke the first tackle off a kick chase, then hit this big right foot straight around and just speed the burn.
I did see that try.
Yeah.
Yes.
She's Faifua. She played under the Titan system. I think she trained under Vani for a little period, and then in Fetu Samoa being under Vani. But she's got a big future, that girl.
Yeah, well, it's going to be great to see the women's comp grow more next year as well with a couple more teams. It's going to make the international footy get better again, and it just gives more and more girls a good crack at it to get more spotlight on them. So keen on that. Get amongst the doggies. Bro.
Get amongst the doggies. Up the wires, baby. I'm so happy both our teams are going to comp now, finally, bro.
Another couple of games to go at it. I love it.
Fucking oath. All right, brother, let's go through a couple of talking points before we kind of finish this thing off. Guys, again, this will be the last down unders for, you know, probably I'm thinking coming toward the end of the year, we'll see how we go. We might end up jumping off for a couple of sneaky streams or whatever, left, right, and center. But next year, me and Brody are definitely going to restructure the show and really, you know, hit next year with the running with big predictions and stuff like that. And we can bounce to you guys in the chat. So get excited for that. But the first big news of the weekend, bro, before we get through our actually, let's get through our Golden Boot talk. All right. We'll do that first. Obviously, we just touched on that and then we'll go through the big news of the weekend. Golden Boot, bro. I'll go through the list that they've got here, but I know you got your names in mind. So the Golden Boot nominees, guys, you've probably seen the list last week, but this is the list overall for the men's side of things. You got Herbie Farnworth with England, Adam Fanor-Blake, Harry Grant, Lockie Lamb, Zach Lomax, Jerome Luai, Keanu Keeney, Nene McDonald, Isan Masters, Atane Milne, Hamole Olakawatu, Harry Smith, Jason Tamalolo, Tom Trebojevic, Roger Tuivasa-Sheck, George Williams, and Isaiah Yeo. Good to see Isaiah Yeo at the end there getting some recognition from a good series as well. Who's your name, brother? Who's your Golden Boot winner for the year 2024?
Yeah, it's Tom Trebojevic for me with, you know, leaps and bounds. Short of him, Herbie Farnworth and Ads. And then, but it's got to go to somebody from Australia, in my opinion, and that's got to be Tom Trebojevic. The only one I could potentially see him knocking it off is Harry Grant. But yeah, shout out to those four in particular, and Isaiah Yeo, he was a killer. But yeah, I think it's Tom Trebojevic, man. That dude's a freak. It's good to see him healthy. It's a sight to see.
Yeah, definitely, bro. That's definitely my first name. Again, yeah, my second name was Herbie Farnworth, and I think that's just like, you know, I was talking to you pre-show. There's majority of like his statistical games that he had against Samoa. I think the only argument you can have against that is more of the fact of like how good Samoa were over in that test series, and they were fairly poor. I thought they didn't have the greatest team on paper where Tommy had to do it against, you know, I know the Kiwis were understrength this year, but still like good Kiwi side, you know, good Tongan side that I still think that both those sides would have beaten Samoa if they played. And Tommy was like definitely one of our standouts. You know, we saw him in the first game. We just came away from Suncorp going, how good is Tom Trebojevic? How good Harry Grant is? And I don't think we stopped with that sort of narrative, you know, even after the Kiwis game and stuff like that, like incredible. So he's definitely got to be my Golden Boot overall. But good to see, as I said, a couple of names, you know, Isaiah Yeo, you definitely pointed him out as well. Zach Lomax being up there as well, I think is a really good shout too. But yeah, you can't go past Tommy Trebojevic, right?
Yeah, if you pick a one, man, he's got to be the one. It's as simple as that.
Yeah, shout out Tom Trebojevic, our Golden Boot winner for 2024. And the next one is the women's Golden Boot winner. So a lot of names here, so I won't go through all of them, guys. But, you know, this is the names on the list here too. Who is your standout for the Jillaroos this year? Because we would probably both pick a Jillaroos player, I do believe. Who do you think?
Mine isn't on the list, but it would be Julia Robinson, bro. Like, she played outstanding, like in every game, but she's not on there. So a sneaky one for me is Petatani, bro.
She is on there, bro. She's on there, Julia. Yeah.
Oh, she's the one for me, bro. If not her, then maybe Petatani. She killed it as well. So, but yeah, Julia Robinson, bro. It's got to be her for me.
The amount of tries, man. She's the freak out of the back end, and she's built like a brick shit house. That girl, like she. Bro, if I had that physique, I'd be so happy, right? I gotta get myself into a gym.
Not wrong, bro. You're not wrong. She's a beast, bro.
She's a weapon, bro. She's a weapon. But another name that I put up in there, Taryn Aiken. I thought Taryn Aiken was great in all the series. Like, she would be my pick personally because I thought she was fairly instrumental, but I can't go past again. Yeah, Julia Robinson was incredible. For me, it sucked that not seeing Isabel Kelly not put up in there. I think she's been fucking solid for like all series and that. But then again, like, I think she's won it. She hasn't, she won it in 2018, the first Golden Boot winner. So maybe they're just trying to move on from that. But great to see Vani getting put up in that chat too. Vani Belite, obviously great for Samoa. Nuasala as well for Samoa, even McEwen getting there. But it's got to be an Aussie girl, and I think either Taryn Aiken or Julia Robinson for both our picks.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more, brother. I couldn't agree more.
All right, brother. Last bit of news too, guys. The massive news that is hitting the NRL by storm. The kickoff change. So, the new news on that, apparently the NRL is not going to go through with it. That is what has come out of Andrew Abdo and, you know, what's his name? Peter V'landys. They reckon that they're not going to be looking at changing it this year. It won't change. But the thought on the rule that was even proposed, you know, we'll discuss it quickly. Under the rule change, any proposal to any team, any team that starts a play with a kickoff that goes beyond the opposite 20-meter line on the full would concede a 7-tackle set. Would that have fixed the problem of the head knock?
No. No, it wouldn't.
Well, what do you... when I first saw it, that was going to come out in 20, like legit next year, I was like, just hold up. Like, haven't we not got Vegas coming up? Like,
yeah,
we're trying to put the game on the forefront. Obviously, one of the biggest part of the game. And again, like player safety should be the forefront of the game, this and that, right? But they're trying to sell the game to a multitude of people. And what's probably one of the most exciting parts of our game?
It's the fucking back fence, off the back fence.
It is. It really is. Every time I go to a rugby league game, I'm calling front rollers to come off the back fence.
Yeah.
I want to see that. Like, we've spoken about this before. It is a touchy subject. Obviously, head knocks, stuff like that. There's going to be a lot of lawsuits from the game, but this game is a contact sport, and like that, you change it more and more, it's going to become so far away from what it has been before. I think the game would progress and like would get used to it in a way of like this and that. But again, like, it just feels like that it feels like the game's pandering to an audience that may not even be the full thought, like to be an audience that will even give money to the game anyway, right? Like be an audience that probably wouldn't even put their kids in the game anyway. Like they're pandering to the people out there to be like, oh, it's too rough, it's too tumble. And then they're going to change a kickoff to the game and then like try to go like, oh, this is the way we're going to go with the game. Everyone's going to be like, I still don't like the game anyway, right? Like, yeah, I don't know. For me, it's just, bro, your thoughts, like,
that's why we have soccer and we have rugby league. It's as simple as that. If we're not playing NFL where you can just call out free catch or whatever the fuck it is and take a knee, like, what the fuck is this shit? Like, I don't even know why they have a kickoff in NFL. When they
not
just
these
say
days,
like, what's the fucking point? What is the point?
Well, that's a lot of people's argument. It's like, well, the NFL changed their kickoff. It's like, have you not seen the kickoffs before that they changed their kickoff anyway? They were just fair catching anyway. And majority of their kickoff were going touchbacks and they were getting out to the 20-yard line. They've completely changed the kickoff now where there ends up being a little bit more running anyway, a lot of the times anyway. It's supposed to be safer and that, but like that was not the main part of Gridiron. Like, but NRL is not the main part of NRL, but it's one of the most entertaining parts of NRL. Like, I'm not tuning into State of Origin to see a team kick off and concede a 7-tackle set early in the game. Well, I don't know, bro.
Look, for me, the catching team, the attacking team, you don't have to run it back off the back fence like that. No. Fucking shift it, use some footwork. It's both teams wanting that contact. So the teams aren't the ones complaining, wanting it to change. Otherwise, they would try and avoid that contact by shifting a little bit or using footwork. Yeah. But they both choose. They choose to run it back. Those defenders choose to get in front. It's what it is. It is what it is. Otherwise, take the kickoff away altogether and just the other team have a tap at their 20. Whatever. Like, but that's shit. 100% right. It's not right. Just fucking leave it.
I was listening to James Graham today. He put out a new podcast with the Rugby League Roundtable. And if you haven't heard of it, go check it out. He's like I think it's at a 5th episode now, and this was player welfare. And so they were talking about this sort of news coming out, and the talks about the kickoff and stuff like that. But I think Brent Reed, the journalist that's usually on 360 and that he's ended up saying there was actually good stats out there that says that the kickoffs aren't the main factor of head knocks anyway in the NRL. Like statistically, you're more likely to get HI and concussion from just general play. And the kickoffs, for what they aren't as bad as what is first looked at. Obviously, there's the spectacular moments like, Nelson and, Lindsay Collins, which was just a freak accident. Yeah, Moses Suli, which was a freak accident, like because Jaden Stewart knocked him out in the wrong position. But majority of the time when it's done right, like it's not as dangerous. It looks as dangerous, but apparently statistically it's not as bad as what
the only reason it looks so spectacular
Spectacular, yeah.
That's the word. The only reason that's the case is because it's off a set restart. It's as simple as that. It could be like 2 seconds into the game where a couple of guys have been HIA'd straight away, and then you lose a player straight away. That's the only reason. Otherwise, there's more HIAs that happen in the general play, as you said, that nobody complains about. There's probably more HIAs from own player contact to contact, but they don't talk about that. The only reason it's getting talked about is because the kickoffs can happen 2 seconds into the game, or it's off a set restart, like a new set, like straight off the kickoff. So it's all focuses on. And that's the only reason why. It's got nothing to do with how hard that dude's running it back. It's just, I get it. I really do get it. They want the best for everyone and to not have these injuries, but you're going to get them regardless.
Yeah, they want to save the game from the lawyers. That's what everyone's saying. That's the whole point of it, right? But like, I think for me, it's honestly one of those things. I continue to say it. I said it last time. We both said it. Like, when I was a kid, I knew this was a tough sport. Like I know a lot of people would say, like, we didn't know what we were getting into. Obviously, we didn't know our head knocks. We didn't know about that, right? But we knew that. I knew that if I was going to play football, I was probably going to break an arm. I was probably going to end up, hurting myself in some sort of way. You could do that playing any other sport too, right? But like, you just know, watching rugby league, you know how tough it is. It's a tough sport. Like, players understand they're signing up to put ourselves out there just as much as, like, an MMA fighter is willing to walk into an octagon and get his head kicked in.
Exactly.
And, like, moments like that. Like, the training for stuff like that helps, like, mitigate a lot of these issues. And, like, I don't know. I understand it is a tough one because the game is, there's like the NFL's lawsuits with CTEs and all that sort of stuff. And it's still a scientific thing that a lot of people are still trying to figure out. But just for now, like, I think a lot of people understand the risks now of what's going on. And like, they're going to take the time. Like, yeah, I don't know. We've seen a lot more risk, like people taking more accountability of head knocks these days. Like Kalyn Ponga going to Canada, getting himself sorted out, coming back and taking his time off. It's like that with everywhere. Like Tua Tagovailoa, that's playing for the Dolphins, and he just came back with his head knock. And you're seeing all in his comment section of people saying, quit football. But like, he took his time, did his due diligence, came back. He ended up nearly catching a head knock over the weekend as well against the Bills.
I did see that.
You saw that?
I'm going to try and tackle this dude by putting my head in front of his knee. Bruh.
You're the quarterback. Don't try to tackle, boys. Come on. But yeah, like, I think a lot of people understand now. Like, a lot of people understand. And like, changing the fabric of the game is not going to help as much as what people would think. And it will just deduct the thought of the game of I just don't think that people would fall in love with the game as what a lot of people have fell in love with the game. Well, I fell in love with the game because there's like just tough people out there playing tough football, and it's the combative side of it. It's like, when I'm watching State of Origin as a Queensland fan, I'm like watching it going like, I wish I was out in that football field taking Blues heads off. And, you're probably watching as a Blues fan doing exactly the same thing, calling out names like Justin Hodges, I want to punch your head in.
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
That's the part of the game that people love. And like, you can't take away the fabric of the game.
Yeah, well, look, I just think, just leave it. I think just the awareness and the notice of how they handled the head knocks is enough.
Yeah.
That's a big step in the right direction for caring for what's going on in the world. You can't eliminate that contact. And to be honest, it's about how you want to put your body on the line as well. I've played footy for 22 years. I know I was only a little kid. You don't count those years because, you don't really get a head knock. But I played senior footy for at least 10 years now, 18s plus. I've had one HIA, and that was from a deliberate swinging arm from a Sanford player. Other than that, grubs. But other than that, I haven't had a head knock or a concussion in 10 years of playing footy. And I don't shy away from the contact or anything like that.
No way.
It's just about how you want to handle yourself on the field and where you want to put your head as well. And I know it's completely unwarranted again, like when a defender just does decide to take your head off. But that's where the punishments are. And players are more and more aware to the point where that's not happening, especially in the NRL, because there's cameras to get caught, suspended, fined, all that sort of stuff. I feel like all of that stuff is the right things to do to avoid the head knocks. The kickoffs, it's not going to save many more head knocks. It's only going to save the freakish ones. That's it.
Yeah,
but
and it's the
that can
game's
still happen.
changed. The game's changed so much of like the older days where people were getting their heads taken off and all that, and it was always a penalty, right? But like it was just like so extravagant back in the day. Big jerseys, seeing Blocker Roach, you know, throwing. You got my big guy throwing out elbows and stuff like that. You got Harrigan off the back fence, like. You know, the game's changed now. You don't see a lot of that anymore. Like, you know, the last time I saw a throwing elbow was Mitch Barnett. Shout out Mitch Barnett with the Newcastle Knights against Panthers, like, what, 3 years ago?
Yeah.
And he got suspended for like 10 weeks or 13 weeks or something. He got a decent suspension for it. And, like, the tackle technique has changed significantly because of head knocks and stuff as well. You know, going low for your tackles, like, you know, from your halfback, and you're a good, like, you know, low chopper your tackle. But majority of the reason why, you know, tacklers now tackle high is not just because of, you know, wrapping up the ball. Like that's a main aspect of it. You know, the offload became a big thing in early, you know, the early 2000s rugby league that they had to stop that. That's why the wrestle came into the game. But it's also to save, you know, your head knocks and that as well, because it is a lot safer. You see a lot of wrestlers, Greco-Roman wrestlers, don't get a lot of head knocks comparatively to freestyle wrestlers. Freestyle wrestlers dive in for double legs, stuff like that, get their heads chopped in. Where Greco-Roman wrestlers just standing up doing like more judo and just throws and stuff like that. Like it's like the same thing with rugby league. You want to catch and roll instead of like, you know, putting your head into a dangerous position, you get yourself caught out. Those are the more significant head knocks that you're going to see over time, you know, like you're saving the defender in those moments. So I think the game's come so far away from, you know, head knocks every game and stuff like that. I feel like it's a safer game now than what it's ever been. Right?
100%, and it's just the care for it is so much better, and I think that's the steps in the right direction we need to take. Not keep changing rules to the point where you're not going to have any contact at all, because that's the way that it seems like it's going.
Yeah. It's really disappointing, bro. It's really disappointing. But all right, my brother, you got anything more you want to touch on? Actually, did you see the Dolphins, all the new jerseys coming out?
I did see the new jerseys coming out. Yes, I've seen that the Broncos are having the same jerseys as the women's now. And
that's what I was going to touch on. You see the Broncos jersey. Let's see if I can put it up. What was your thoughts on all the jerseys so far? Is there anyone that you hate? Is there any that you like? Like, where are you at with that?
I wasn't a big fan of the Cowboys ones. Like, I really think it's just a copy and a paste. Like, all right, now reverse it. That's our way. Like, it's not a lot of effort went into them. But I liked the Warriors jerseys. Obviously, they're always good ones. Canberra, you know, Canberra are always pretty much the same. They're the same. They always go. The Doggies ones, again, very similar. I would have liked to see maybe a horizontally striped one this year, but again, it's just the same. New sponsors. You know, the Titans, a little bit of a change up. Yeah.
What's your thought of that? Like having the logo, the head of it. Like they've tried that before from memory. Remember they had the big like sword at the
yeah, I do remember. Yeah, look, it's different, and that's what you want, I guess. It makes people buy jerseys because it's different to what they already have.
Yeah, I do think it's a bit of a struggle with like having that big lottery office in the middle of your jersey. I understand we have that with One New Zealand, but that thing is hideous in the middle of the jersey.
Yeah, that's not One New Zealand. So
Manly Seagulls, fairly similar there. I know with a couple of these jerseys, I think from what I saw in comment sections, like, you know, I don't want to quote comment sections and say they're like Bible and all that, but like apparently the NRL have a rule that you can't change your jersey design. I think it's 2 years. Like, so you got to go 1 year, wait for another year, and then change it again. If that makes sense, you got to go 2 years under the same design for some reason. I don't know if that's whether to save consumer money or whatever the go is there, but that's why a lot of these jerseys are very similar. Or the same jersey.
Changing sponsors only,
Exactly. So the Warriors ones, I've seen they're out now, but they're pretty much the same as last year, very much the same. So that's pretty good for me. I don't have to fork out new money to buy another away jersey. That
you would have anyway.
Yeah, pretty much. Newcastle, really similar. The Cowboys was a different sort of design.
It's like a copy and paste. Like, oh yeah, let's just reverse it.
Yeah. I kind of like the Cowboys one a little bit. I like that alternative. It's like kind of throws back a little bit of a retro.
The alternative's all right, yeah, but the home and away one's just pretty basic.
Fairly similar. I kind of miss the old, like, the Bulls horn, like the Cowboy horn. I think that was the one for me. The Eels are pretty much the same. Yeah.
Panthers
is the same. The Roosters have the BYD for sponsorship. I think that's their biggest change.
Okay.
The Chinese car company. I saw that today. Looks a bit weird, but yeah, right. You got the Dolphins with theirs. They changed their home jersey and their away jersey is their old alternate jersey.
Okay.
So I don't know. It looks alright. Like a lot of red. Got those stripes.
Yeah. Yeah, they're alright, I guess.
Little Dolphins logo. But
cool.
Not too many changes there. Not too many changes. I think. What were your thoughts on the Broncos one? Because obviously that came out today.
Yeah, look, it's not the Broncos. You know, the Broncos are, you know, maroon and yellow, and they've kind of just gone away from the yellow, and they're just kind of looking like Queensland. So
yeah.
Yeah,
you wanted to show
strange.
a little bit more yellow, right? I thought the same thing. I didn't really enjoy it the first time I saw it. I don't know if it's going to grow on me either. I've seen a lot of better jerseys.
I think they need to go back to like when Lockie was playing. Those jerseys for the Broncos were cool.
With the Ergon Energy ones, sort of thing.
Yeah, just the old days.
Yeah, I think I did prefer those sort of jerseys. I can't wait to see what they're going to do. From last year, they teased the blue. Remember the blue jerseys they had?
Yeah, because they got them training shirts as well. And I'm like, where the fuck did this come from?
Yeah, so these blue ones, I think they're coming. Was it next year? Oh, it's got the 2024 jerseys too. No, don't worry, that can't be reached.
Nope.
For some reason. Don't worry about it.
Don't hit back too many times, Ash.
Yeah, don't drop the bookmarks, mate. But nah, not too many. With the doggies, like, yeah, I kind of agree with you. I do like they incorporated a little bit more of that retro design of last year with that big V.
Yeah,
that's pretty much exactly the same as.
It's too much white there on that. You know, it looks like you've copied and pasted the logo, and it just takes up. Like it's like it's sitting over the blue, and you don't see the V much. I don't know. Yeah. I won't be spending money on them. Put it that way. I might wait for their Indigenous jersey this year, or rep round, or heritage round, or whatever, women in league round.
That's one thing they can do. They can change the retro jerseys and stuff. I think they can do that each and every year. So I'll be excited to see what the Dogs do with that this year. If they're going to do the old heritage horizontal stripes, is what you're kind of wanting.
They should. It's 90 years now, so surely they would throw back to the first year they came in.
Yeah, I can't even think. I'm trying to think of the old Titans jerseys. I'm trying to think of what they look like. Yeah, I don't know what they wouldn't have too many retros. Let's be honest, but yeah. Fairly interesting, bro. Fairly interesting. I'm excited for the Warriors' future. We got Brownie that used to play for us. He's doing all our designs. So I'm excited to see what designs he's coming up with. Our training apparel looks pretty cool. It's got like a really nice colorway with the shells and stuff. Like, I'm excited for all that sort of stuff to come out. But yeah, if there's any more, we'll let you know. But anything more, my brother?
No, not really, bro. Not really. It's been a good season. It's gonna be sad to see it gone.
Yeah, 100%. And what I'm more excited, as I said, guys, what I'm really excited for is next year. Obviously, we'll get a full year of Brody here on the channel, and obviously we'll start off the year with the predictions. We're gonna have a good mate of ours try to jump in as well with the predictions, and then we could like really sit down for a whole year, and you could build a combination with us week in, week out. Come chat with us, and you get to see our thoughts overall from the start of the season all the way to the end. Obviously, Brody jumped in with us late this season, so we're good to see more. Before we go, bro, you want to touch on a little bit of the UFC?
Yeah, bro, big card this weekend, obviously. Probably 2 retirement fights. Well, 1 retirement fight, 2 fighters.
Most likely.
Stipe and Jones. So excited. I'm very excited. I just hope and pray that there's no pullout due to injury. But other than that, yeah, it's going to be an exciting matchup. I feel like Stipe's a little bit long in the tooth now, and I know Jones is getting up there as well, but Stipe's been out for a good 3.5 years. So yeah, I'm keen to see this one, bro. It's going to be a good matchup.
Should be a really good matchup. Who are you going for this one here, Jones versus Stipe? You think, like, obviously Stipe's best part of his game, boxing, takedown defense usually. Jones, pretty much anywhere you really want it. He's got really good range control. His Greco-Roman's incredible, wrestling up front. Like, his clinch work's incredible. And then when he wants to get to the ground, he'll get it to the ground. I got Jones only because I think Stipe, like, they're both fairly old, but I think Stipe is probably a lot further along than what Jones is at the moment. But even though Jones 37, I'm probably going Jones. Where are you going?
Yeah, I think I'm going Jones. And it'll either be, like a freak first round KO, like, catch Stipe just clip him, really shock him, not really get him into the fight, ring rust. Or you'll see, Jones kind of wear on him a bit, attack from the outside, find a takedown round 3 and maybe a submission or some ground and pound. And the refs will have in the back of their mind Stipe's age, how long he's been out. So, they'll be quick to want to jump in for a TKO. So, yeah, I do see Jones not losing this fight. He'll win it whichever way possible.
GT in the chat, Jones ducking Aspinall. You've been a
100%.
massive fan of Aspinall, bro.
100%.
You've been watching Aspinall since the first day, and it's so good to see how far that cunt's come. You know what I mean? He's a freak of nature. I can't wait to see that fight if it ever happens.
I couldn't agree more that he's 100% ducking Aspinall, but I cannot blame him either. Aspinall's not even 30. He's like in his prime. He's been built for heavyweight since the day he stepped into the octagon. And as much as Jones is ducking him, he's got a point. He hasn't really proved anything. Well, he's proved a lot. He's killing that heavyweight division, and he would win that fight against Jones, I truly believe. But we don't need to see that. Jones is right. He's done what he's done. He beat all the best guys coming through at his time while they were in their prime. He doesn't need to go fight another guy up and coming. He's having his legacy fight, and he'll be on his way. But yeah,
I believe that.
I would love to see it. I really would, but I would have loved to see it Aspinall where he is now and Jones in his career maybe 5 years ago. That would have been an exciting fight, but it doesn't entertain me too much now because I do think Aspinall will have the upper hand. He's got the speed, he's got the age, got the size. But yeah, Jones in his prime against Aspinall now in his prime, outstanding fight. But yeah, I wouldn't mind seeing Jones versus Alex Pereira, but I do see him just taking down Pereira and getting a sub or.
Well, that's the way I kind of see it. Like, Pereira, the first time we saw him in the UFC, I think it was the first time or the second fight that he had in, he got put on his back and he was really struggling. And even though I'm pretty sure he got his brown belt in jiu-jitsu, I haven't seen the black belt yet, but I'm pretty sure he's brown belt. Like a lot of times it's because of name sometimes that they do get that and that. And I don't think he's a predominantly good jiu-jitsu artist in like actual combat. He probably is in the gym, but like, in actual combat, I probably haven't seen too much of it. And I think Jones would just take him down and maul him in that sort of aspect. But that would be a cool fight to see. But even Tom Aspinall versus Pereira, I reckon.
Yeah. I'd love that fight, and I think we'll see that fight. I think, Jones and Stipe, they'll be done after this, and then we'll see Aspinall take that title fairly quickly, and you'll see Alex probably have 1 or maybe 2 more at light heavyweight and look to try and make legacy by being a 3-division champion. But I dare say, Aspinall will take Alex Pereira. I think he'll, again, take him down, size, speed, and find a sub.
All right, moving down the card, bro. Charles Oliveira versus Michael Chandler. Obviously, Charles Oliveira got the knock over Michael Chandler in the last fight. But you showed me a lot of videos of Michael Chandler looking absolutely like ripped. He looks ripped in general, but he looks fucking cut at the moment. Yeah. Definitely taking this one seriously. Yeah. Where are you looking at with this one? 38 years old to 35, both are long in the tooth here, but this is what the lightweight division's come to be honest.
I think you'll see Chandler turn the tides from the last fight this time, and especially being the outsider. I like the value. He's paying $3 the last time I checked on Sportsbet. Chandler, he's very motivated. He didn't get the Conor fight like he wanted. He's looking lean. He doesn't have his roid gut. He's looking very shredded. So I'm excited to see that. And, Oliveira's so hit and miss. So Oliveira's a favorite. You don't want to put money on him. But I do see this being an entertaining fight and going either way. But Chandler, man, if he focuses and sticks to a game plan instead of just trying to entertain the crowd, he should win this fight just by wrestling and finding some good ground and pound. What do you think on this?
How much is Chandler at?
He was like 310 when I checked it.
That's juicy, bro. That's really juicy. I'm going to go Chandler. More the fact of like, I agree. It looks like Chandler's taking this one 100% seriously. Charles is a great fighter that had like an amazing moment, like a purple patch of his career. He had that really great run. And, I think he's got all the potential to finish Chandler when Chandler kind of like takes a break or has that little moment, right? But I think that if Chandler continues to do what he did well in that first fight, the early round, he was really dominating the exchanges. He can get in and out quite easily. you know, on Charles. I think that he can definitely catch Charles. So I've probably got Chandler and probably looking at him by KO and see how that is.
I think that'd be juicy value. I didn't check what KO was, brother.
$5.
That's nice. Yeah, that's a head-to-head. I don't even need a multi that. That's just a head-to-head bet for me. So I'm keen to check that out on Sunday, bro.
Yeah, definitely. Other fights on the card, bro. We got Bo Nickel versus Paul Craig. Obviously, everyone's can't wait to see Bo Nickel again and see what he can do and how far he's added to his game again. Paul Craig, very dangerous off his back. He throws up some really nice triangle attacks, really good arm bars, really good jiu-jitsu artist on his back. So, going to be interesting fight here. Bo Nickel, though, I would probably say just gets the win, but I do think that Paul Craig will show gropes in Bo Nickel's game. Definitely, he'll throw up definitely a lot of things from his back. But I think I think Bo should do this for sure.
I think we're going to see a boring fight in this one. You know, Bo will use his wrestling, but he won't take him to the ground. It'll be a lot of clinch work. If he gets, you know, a wrestling position, it'll be mainly trying to take the back. It won't be like a double leg or working inside Craig's guard because it is just too dangerous. So he won't want to play with that. It'll just be either a stand-up affair, you know, when you see two guys that have decent ground games come together, or you'll just see, you know, Bo Nickel clinch him along the fence. But I'm going to go with a round T2 TKO for Bo Nickel on this one. You'll see some improvement on his hands.
Yeah, I think he's going to come out fast as he kind of usually does at the moment. He's got that Khamzat Chimaev sort of effect where he wants to go out fast and hard. And obviously they're big teeing up for that big fight in the future if it was to happen, the American versus Chimaev. So that's going to be a big one. But I got Bo Nickel for sure. And I definitely agree with you there. I think striking is going to be the big part in this game here. And a couple of other fights to end the card. You got Algero versus Silva. Where you think this fight could go? I haven't seen a ton of Silva, but Algero, definitely seen a lot of her. I'm probably going to sway the way of Algero, but if you got more on Silva.
Yeah, bro, I got Silva, man. She's violent. I think this one will be a good fight. This might even be fight of the night, short of the Chandler and Oliveira fight. You know, both hungry, both keen to get their name into title contention. I think Silva, man, she's a bit of a beast. She's on a run. Yeah, she's looking really good. She looked for the finish. Yeah, she's cool, bro. She's come out with some crazy knockouts as well.
Definitely excited to see her because I haven't seen much of her in the fights. She came through Contender Series and been on a really nice run since. So I'm going to run with you on that one, bro. Again, like, you know, I've seen Algero fight, Arrojo.
However you want to pronounce it, brother.
I'm going to pronounce it like that. But yeah, I'm running with you on that one there with Silva and Ruffy versing Loontop.
I haven't seen either of these dudes, bro. I was surprised that these guys got the nod on the main card instead of you know, the featured prelim. So yeah, I was very surprised.
Well, Ruffy was the last guy. He knocked out our boy Malaki. So
come on, bro. He's an Aussie, but I don't know about him being our boy.
And Bruno Silva. And then Loontop. I'm trying to think. I haven't seen a lot of him either. His last off was Burashev. So Burashev.
Okay.
Burashev,
they must have done something right, man, because, you know, you got Weidman and Anders on the prelims, and you got Jim Miller and Damian Jackson, Jonathan Martinez, you know, a couple of bigger names on the prelims. So these guys must be doing something right. So, yeah, crazy for someone like Weidman to not get a main card knob. But, yeah.
With the rest of these ones here, we got Vanessa Hardy. I'm pretty sure it's Vanessa. It's the wife of Dan Hardy, ex-UFC fighter, incredible fighter, and that.
We'll roll with her.
Yeah, she's a beast. Elliot and Hafez. I haven't seen much of both these guys, so definitely curious to see.
I haven't. I think they might be first-time fighters, so we'll roll with Elliot.
Beautiful. Mickey Gull and Brahimov.
I'm not backing Mickey Gull, bro. Mickey Gull always lets me down, so we're going to go with anyone but Mickey Gull.
So we're going anyone but Mickey Gull. Tybura versus Denise. I haven't seen much of this Denise guy, actually.
No, I don't think I have either, but Brazilian, you know, good ground games mostly, so that's what Tyburian works in. So I'm going to go with the Brazilian.
Oh, Rodrigo Duarte. Okay, that's a pretty decent win. Yeah. Yeah. I'm going to roll with the Brazilian, see how he goes. Because, yeah, we both look at Tybura and he's just, I know he's beaten Ty a couple of times.
Yeah, but Ty's on the slide.
Ty can have those moments. Yeah, Ty can have those moments, right? Onana versus Romero.
Oh, no.
Enough said, Brody. Enough said there. We're going to go with Onana. Jim Miller versus Jackson, bro.
Jimmy Miller, bro. Yeah, get it done, bro.
What a freak.
Keep going.
Bro. 41. Add to it. Weidman versus Anders.
Oh, I reckon Weidman will wrestle, but I reckon he'll gas by around, late round 2, and I reckon Anders will find a KO late.
Yeah, I think with all the injuries that Weidman's have over years, I think this is probably a little bit tougher than you think. Even though Anders is 37, I think Anders athletically at the moment is probably looking a little bit better.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm curious to see how Weidman comes out in this fight. Obviously, just feel for him with all the injuries that he's had for his career.
I couldn't agree more, bro.
And Martinez versus McGee. I'm probably going Martinez.
Yeah, bro. He's coming off a disappointing loss in his last fight against Aldo. So he'll want to bounce back and try and get his name into title contention. So Martinez for sure in this one.
All right, my brother. That will be us for tonight, guys. Thank you so much, Brody, as always, for tuning in. Thank you so much, guys, all you guys in the chat. Definitely keep an eye out on the YouTube channel for the future. If we have any surprise streams and that, check out on Instagram. Obviously, Levon chucks us up and all that. But yeah, guys, we're going to restructure the show, figure out what we can do better next year. Maybe have a solo YouTube, UFC sort of show, maybe a solo Supercoach show. Me and Brody are definitely talking about different things. So just going to take a little bit of a break, guys, restructure everything, come up to the Christmas period. You guys deserve a little bit of time with your family. So do we. And then, yeah, we'll definitely be full swing of things next year, brother. But anything more to add?
Nah, just yeah, stay tuned. We've got some bigger plans. We're going to try and, potentially get into the same room as well and have our setup together. But, time, money, it's all going to come down to that. But keen to get you guys more involved as well next year. We want to make our shows based around your comments and what you guys throw out as well. So we're going to leave a lot of free time for that. So yeah, really stay tuned. Keen, hit the reset button. Then yeah, just really come back and really nail it down to keep you guys entertained, hopefully grow the channel. Hopefully be able to quit our jobs one day, but dreams are free. But yeah, look, we'll see. But yeah, no, just keen to get back to you guys next year after a break. So we'll be keen to see you guys come back. Tell your friends, get involved.
Yeah. 100%. I can't wait for that added sort of aspect of, having our predictions. So start of the year, this is what you think, and coming to the end of the year, so you can show your footy knowledge, because you got amazing footy knowledge, and that's the reason why it's good to have you on the show these days, brother. So guys, make sure you like and subscribe if you enjoy the content and all that, and have an amazing little break period here. Next time we'll see ya. We're going to love you and leave ya. And we'll see you very, very shortly. All right, guys, have a good weekend.
Enjoy your Christmas breaks, boys.
Aussie, Aussie, Aussie.